A pleasant good morning to the Honorable John Briceño, Prime Minister of Belize, the ministers, Minister of State, and ministers, to the Leader of the Opposition, his members, and Madam Speaker. Let's pray. Almighty and eternal God, who through Jesus Christ has revealed your glory to all nations, please protect and preserve Belize, our beloved country. O God of might, wisdom and justice, please assist our Belizean government and the people with the Holy Spirit of counsel and fortitude. Let the light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors, so that with your help we may attain a just objective. With your guidance, may all our endeavors tend to peace, social justice, liberty, national happiness, the increase of industry, sobriety, and useful knowledge. We pray, O God of mercy, for all of us, that we may be blessed in the knowledge and sanctified in the observance of your most holy law, that we may be preserved in the union and in that peace which the world itself cannot give. And after enjoying the blessings of this life, please admit us, dear Lord, to that eternal reward that you have prepared to those who love you. Amen and amen.
Announcement by the Speaker.
Good morning, members. First of all, appreciation to Pastor Shaw for greeting us with today's words of prayer. As per Standing Order 84 on absences, please note that we did receive those notices from member for Dangriga and member for Orange Walk South. Clerk.
Just allow me indulgence just before we start the work of this house to take the opportunity to wish you happy birthday, to wish you all the best. And muchos años de vida. And you still look good-looking young lady, I must say. So age is not like myself, I don't look beat up. But once again, happy birthday. I hope we don't make your job too difficult today. So I'm asking all of us to be on our best behavior, right, leader? Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to spend my day with all of you. Let me see how it ends.
Paper.
I recognize the Honorable Minister of Public Utilities, Logistics and E-Governance.
Madam Speaker, I rise to present and lay on the table sessional paper number HR 277A/1/13. It is the Public Utilities Commission Request for Proposals Regulation 2024.
Honorable members, that paper is ordered to lie on the table.
Presentation of reports from select committees.
I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Finance and Economic Development Committee.
Madam Speaker, good morning and happy birthday once again. Madam Speaker, I rise to lay on the table reports number HR 278/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Government of Belize and Social Security Board Settlement Deed Bill 2024. Number HR 2791/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Financial Services Commission Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 280/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Securities Industry Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 281/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Income and Business Tax Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 282/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Tax Administration and Procedure Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 283/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the General Sales Tax Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 284/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Business Names Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 285/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Designated Processing Areas Amendment Bill 2024. Number HR 285A/1/13. Report from the Finance and Economic Development Committee on the Stamp Duties Amendment Bill 2024. Thank you.
Honorable members, those reports are ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Health and Human Development Committee.
Morning, Madam Speaker. I rise to lay on the table report number HR 286/1/13. report from the Health and Human Development Committee on the Marriage Amendment Bill 2024. Thank you.
Honorable members, that report is ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Public Service, Labor, Industry and Trade Committee.
Madam Speaker, I rise to lay on the table report number HR 287/1/13. Report from the Public Service, Labor, Industry and Trade Committee on the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital Authority Amendment Bill 2024. I thank you.
Honorable members, that report is ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Natural Resources and Environment Committee.
Madam Speaker, I rise to lie on the table report number HR 288/1/13. Report from the Natural Resource and Environment Committee on the resolution of the expansion of the protection of Belize's total ocean space and the Medium Biodiversity Protection Zone Motion 2024.
Honorable members, that report is ordered to lie on the table. I recognize the Honorable Chairperson of the Tourism, Archaeology and Information Committee.
Madam Speaker, I rise to lay on the table report number HR 282/1/13. Report from the Tourism, Archaeology and Information Committee on the National Institute of Culture and History Amendment Bill 2024.
Members, that report is ordered to lie on the table.
Introduction of bills. Statement by ministers.
I recognize the Honorable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Economic Development, Investment, Civil Aviation and Immigration.
Thank you very much. And Madam Speaker, 4 years ago, yesterday, the people of Belize entrusted my party, the People's United Party, with the task of fixing what at the time was a broken nation. It was an overwhelming mandate. For sure, it was not an occasion for wild celebration. It was a sobering and humbling experience because we were entrusted with the responsibility to steward this nation through what was essentially the worst of times. Much has been done to right our ship of state, but the work continues. Progress, good progress, is incremental. Today, we on this side, all 26 of us, are fully cognizant that the cost of living for all Belizeans is a real concern. Global inflation is a real concern. We just witnessed an election in one of the world's most powerful countries, the United States of America, which has been struggling with the cost of living and inflation. Just think, a world superpower and their leaders have little or no control over global inflation and the resulting increase in the cost of living. Imagine a small country like Belize also having to deal with the cruelty of inflation. But we are not afraid. We will not give up on the Belizean people and lament or grief. We are facing this challenge head on. We are doing so by keeping our promise to build a Belize where everybody wins, where everybody will win. As promised, we raised the minimum wage to $5, effectively ensuring that more than 40,000 Belizeans have more money to take home. And as predicted, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, this increase forced the private sector to raise the salaries of thousands of their employees. This bold move triggered a raise in salaries for tens of thousands of Belizeans all across this nation. Recall, Madam Speaker, when the global slowdown and inflation was at its worst, we subsidized our bakers, we subsidized the transportation industry, subsidized our farmers, and significantly increased the list of items which are zero rated and attract no tax. Today, we are increasing the income tax threshold, ensuring that more Belizeans can take more money home every week and month. We are also removing GST for first-time property owners on lots that cost less than $30,000 and exempting stamp duties on mortgage for less than $100,000, all actions to help our Belizean people to keep more of their hard-earned money for their families. Together, with the help of our public officers, we strengthened the monitoring of grocery stores to ensure that there is less price gouging, with stricter fines for those who continue to do so. And I can say, with some measure of pride, that there is so much more than that has been achieved in these 4 years, not only to grow the nation, but to help our people to make their lives better. In 2018, our poverty rate stood at 52%. 52%. Not our numbers, but the Statistical Institute of Belize. Our poverty rate stood at 52%. At that time, over 200,000 Belizeans lived in poverty. And that was before the COVID pandemic. Do you know what's the poverty rate today, Madam Speaker? According to the Statistical Institute of Belize, in 2021, the multidimensional poverty figures recorded 142,539 persons living in poverty. In 2023, that number is further reduced to 103,944, down by 38,595. Today, from a high of 52% in 2018, poverty is at 26%. We have, in effect, Madam Speaker, reduced poverty by half since 2018. 4 years of Plan Belize and the poverty rate has been cut in half. Imagine that, against the backdrop of COVID, a hurricane which impacted the country directly, floods, droughts, fires, forest fires, crippling UDP debts that we inherited, and that list can go on. Despite that, we cut poverty in half. And that was no accident. Today, Madam Speaker, 21 secondary schools enjoy totally free education. Almost 4,000 students do not have to worry about school fees, books, uniform, transportation, or a daily meal. Thousands more enjoy some form of financial assistance in high school and UB. All of that is provided by your PUP government. The parents of those students no longer have to find that money to pay for their children's education. That money can now be used in other ways to better the lives of their families. Because free food is provided, Madam Speaker, these schools are now providing employment for Belizeans who prepare, cook, and serve meals to our students. And it goes further. The food that these students eat daily comes from our farmers and from our local grocery stores, meaning that each and every one of them are being supported right down the food chain, as we would say. Madam Speaker, this government has handed out hundreds of affordable starter homes, mostly to single mothers. In fact, over the next couple of weeks, the keys for another 25 houses will be handed over to new homeowners. It is not just a cement structure. It is about providing a solid, a good opportunity to our people. They now have secure homes that raises their self-esteem and confidence to do better and be better for their families. And only those who truly know can tell us what it means to live in a shack held together by carton boxes with no electricity or water, and even as well cable and internet, where the children get soaked every time it rains. So while the critics on the other side talk, we will continue to build more homes for needy Belizeans. Madam Speaker, this government has expedited the push to provide national health insurance across this country. Yes, in a few months, NHI will be rolled out in the Cayo district. Thanks to the boom provided by the People's Bolido, another signature achievement of this government. And by the way, I lose out on Sunday. You know, it was my, on Saturday was my 36th wedding anniversary. And I never buy the lottery on 36th play. But Edwin buy though, and Edwin win. And he give me a start.
You win 36 years ago.
36, boy, yes.
36 years ago you done.
And there's my lovely wife, I just come in. But I want to remind you all, Madam Speaker, buy your tickets from early for the lottery, because this government, we are going to be ruffling $1 million just before Christmas. So buy your tickets, not go forget. Look at the contrast, Madam Speaker, look at that contrast. Under the UDP Bolido, one family may they benefit. If you don't say a name, you know, a whistle, you know. One family. Yeah, I know a whistle, but the family name they over the next side. But we don't say who, right? One family was benefiting from the Bolido, Madam Speaker. Under the PUP, Bolido, it benefits everybody because everybody for win, Madam Speaker. And very soon, every single Belizean, man, woman, and child will have access to the national health insurance no matter where they live in this country. Further to that, the government removed all, and we mean all, fees and costs from every public health facility in the country, with exception of KHMH, which we pretty soon will do the same. And soon we will build another new state-of-the-art hospital in Belize City to complement the work of KHMH. Then we had $1.1 billion, you know, and they couldn't think for doing anything. $1.1 billion. I have to remind them. $600 million from the oil money, over $500 million from Petrocaribe, and they couldn't even think for build one new hospital nowhere in the country. They were getting free money to build from the European Union to build a hospital here in the nation's capital. And they were so incompetent, or maybe they couldn't hustle from it, they lost that money. And today, thanks to the PUP government, we are going to build a state-of-the-art hospital in Babapan. But we have to remind them, you know what we could have done with $1.1 billion, Madam Speaker? Apart from what we've been doing, we'd have been transforming this country. The point I'm making, Madam Speaker, with these moves that we're doing right now with health, which is a burden on everyone. that the savings of Belizeans who no longer need to pay out of pocket for basic quality healthcare and medication leaves more money in the pockets of Belizeans. Madam Speaker, this administration has reduced unemployment to levels never, ever seen before. We have invested in our sectors to boost employments like never before. Call centers from 2,500 to 60,000 people are working in the call centers, and by next year we expect to be at 20,000. Call centers alone now, our young people are collecting, they're being paid, Madam Speaker, per year, over almost $134 million a year our young people are collecting, thanks to our PUP government. And yet some of them have said that we're not doing enough. Just imagine, 4 years ago, thousands of people were out of jobs. That was a reality. Today, our private sector is reporting a scarcity in labor. Too many jobs and not enough people to fill them. There are businesses which are holding job fairs to try to fill their vacancies. Just imagine that. Madam Speaker, that was no accident. What I have done here, Madam Speaker, is just touch the tip of the transformation that has occurred over the past 4 years. I have not touched on the hundreds of entrepreneurs that we've been training countrywide with Beltrade. I have not touched on the thousands of parcels of land that are being given out to first-time landowners. Almost every week, the DPM is with land clinics all over this country, in effect taking the Belmopan office to the people where they most need that service. I have not touched on the hundreds of new police officers that we have put on the streets of Belize. I have not touched on the infrastructure work that has been done in every part of this country. And these past weeks, 4 communities have gotten their own solar grid to provide power, and the same will happen to Indian Church and in the Lamanai area. I have not touched on the schools, Madam Speaker, and classrooms that we have built, the health facilities constructed, water systems upgraded or implemented in our rural areas. I have not touched on the digital connect centers, which have given residents in remote communities the opportunity to access the latest in technology. I have not touched on the empowerment of our women, providing them with tools to create a sustainable livelihood for themselves and their families. I have not touched on the thousands of farmers who have received financial and technical assistance under this administration. Just a few months ago, we provided $1 million for the cane farmers and $1 million for citrus growers who are going through a crisis. Just imagine, in 2008, Madam Speaker, the citrus industry was a $100 million industry. They were producing approximately 8 million boxes of oranges. Citrus, the greening, the citrus greening came to Belize and devastated thousands of acres of citrus. And what did the previous government do to help this industry to be able to fight off this disease? Nothing. Zero. We had a presentation done by a senior economist to the cabinet, and he pointed out that if the previous government would have invested $1 million a year in the citrus industry, we'd have been getting $100 million a year in return. But they couldn't think about that. They couldn't care about that, because they're not living with, they're not farmers. They don't even live in the rural areas and understand how people live and how hard it is to be able to work and make things grow, especially with the challenges of climate change. But imagine $1 million a year invested in the citrus industry would have been giving you $100 million per year in return. I had no vision, and I couldn't think. Madam Speaker, I have not touched on all the work we have done to encourage our entrepreneurs, to provide support for micro, small, and medium enterprises. I have not touched on the successful restructuring of the crippling UDP debt that we inherited. Remember the famous super bond? Yes, it was negotiated under the PUP. But if you had grown the economy and used your money wisely, you could have paid that debt. But you paid nothing towards the crypto to that debt. You paid interest, over $700 million in interest, and the debt never gone down a cent. It gone up. Imagine, over $700 million to pay in interest, thinking you to do something good, or I don't know who not think of this, try spite. Over $700 million, and that debt went up, it did not go down. And when we said we were going to renegotiate it, when I used to tell me that we can't do that. He said, oh, no, can't do that. But we sit down and we negotiated with them because we know what we do. We understand how our economy works. And we did. We made the difficult choices. And because of that, Madam Speaker, we saved the Belizean people just with that debt, Madam Speaker. Almost $250 million. That debt went down to $363 million, of which we've set up a foundation, started off with a little about $23 million that we hope, a trust fund, that we hope that by 2040 will be at $100 million. But they can't, they don't, they just don't have it. It was in front of them. The people at TNC came to talk to them about that, you know, about the blue bond, but they're not interested because they can't make money out of it. They can't make money out of it, so they don't care. And the people come 2 times, you know, not one, twice. Practically they beg, they listen, we have this money, this is what we can do. Either they couldn't understand, or they never care, or they know that there's no hustle, so they know they didn't bother. And Madam Speaker, I have not touched on what we have done to restore Belize's reputation abroad and our commitment to respect the rights of people to self-determination for countries like Taiwan and Ukraine, to free and fair elections, to democracy, and to human rights. The one over there want to go to China, we have no respect for human rights. Cuba has been our brother. They have been with us from day one, fighting for our independence. They stood by them. They helped with training hundreds of our Belizeans in agriculture, in medicines, and they asked nothing in return. That's true brotherhood. And for sure, and Madam Speaker, not to be diverted by, I don't want to say name, but there's so much things that I have not touched yet. Programs and initiatives and policies and actions which are directly impacting the lives of our people. And for sure I have not touched our robust economy, which has grown for every single quarter since we took office. And I must pause here. And I wish the Honorable Member from Colette and Albert could sit down and try to explain to their, I know they're not there for their leader, but I mean, I know you're a leader, yeah, but we don't come from the same branch. From that one over that side. Yesterday, I'm told, Madam Speaker, that the leader, the member of the opposition, the leader of the opposition, the member from MESOP, posted a page that our economy is contracting. This man either can't understand, either this man can't understand, maybe can't read, or he's being disingenuous. I could have used some other more words, but the wife, they have to behave good. They have to be nice. But not understanding or being disingenuous, Madam Speaker, is a dangerous thing for a man who wants to be Prime Minister. You know what happened, no chocolate? Never. Albert? No what happened, no chocolate? Are we don't know pandat? Are we don't know panawan? You know what happened? But Madam Speaker,
Please let the statement from the Prime Minister continue.
But you say she the free candidate? That's what you say?
Members, we're on the statement. We are on the statement.
Madam Speaker, but on a serious note, I know we could make fun of them, but on a serious note, Madam Speaker, the statistics don't lie. The statistics are there for everyone to see. Go to the SIB, Statistical Institute of Belize, member from Mesopotamia, or go and sit down with the professionals there. They are going to show you the statistics. And if you don't believe them, then go to the IMF page. They will show you the statistics, Madam Speaker, and it will show you that under the last UDP administration, the economy pretty much was stagnant and in many instances contracted. The economy of 2008 was larger than the economy of 2020 that we inherited. The numbers are there. Go and look it up. Look it up. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass yourself. So, Madam Speaker, we had in the first 6 months of this year, we had 10% growth. We have 10% growth in tourism. Our economy has grown over 30% in 4 years under a People's United Party government, something that has never happened under any government, especially under the last UDP administration. 30% growth. So, enough spending, with people who refuse to learn or refuse to listen. But as well, the fact is, Madam Speaker, the fact is that our economy has been growing faster than the IMF or anyone ever predicted. And as I mentioned earlier, I didn't even touch the debt that the UDP left us. But we never cry. We take it on because the people gave us a job to do. And we dealt with the debt. A debt that was at 130% to GDP. A debt that the previous Prime Minister said, but here we for Belize, and I can't use the French words, out of Marine Joak. Proud from Marine Joak. But whatever. Que le da tristeza, que va a llorar para el que va a tomar las riendas del gobierno. We never cry. We roll up with sleeve and we've been working hard. You see all of this right here? And the leave it here I get left. 4 years of hard work. Cordelia, I'm a handsome looking man, you know. You're only half handsome now. All of us, we're not about Julius. I'm sorry, the member from Cayo South. But on a serious note, we took this on as a serious challenge to this government, to this country. And we renegotiated that debt. We grew the economy. We paid off some debt that today, thanks to the People's United Party government, the debt to GDP is at 64%. It has gone from 64 to 63%. Unprecedented. No country in the world has ever done something like this, Madam Speaker. And again, I don't want to go into too much statistics, Madam Speaker, because the people in the region, in CARICOM, in SICA, in Central America, in Mexico, and even the United States all recognize the tremendous work that we have been doing for our country and that the many of our people. And yet, Madam Speaker, we still recognize that despite all of the hard work that we've done, all the successes that we've done, reducing the poverty rate, we still recognize that our people are still struggling to get out of poverty, and this government, the People's United Party government, finds that unacceptable. So yes, inflation is falling, but not fast enough. The cost of living will go down, but not quickly enough. So as we pass our 4th-year benchmark, I'm proud of what we've been able to accomplish with the support and the confidence of the Belizean people. We recommit our every resource to ensuring that we continue to find ways to address the challenges we all face, including global inflation and the resultant cost of living. Madam Speaker, once again, on behalf of our party, the People's United Party, I sincerely thank all Belizeans for the awesome responsibility you have entrusted on us. And I promise we will never take you for granted, and we will never betray your confidence. As we all know, 2025 is an election year, and we will be once again asking the Belizean people for their support for us to continue to build a Belize where everybody for win. We have the political will, Madam Speaker, and with the guidance of our Creator and the support of the Belizean people, we will find a way. Thank you.
Introduction of bills.
Members, before we get to the introduction of bills, and given the time that we're at, Prime Minister, I'll ask that we dispense with Standing Order 12A. And I also want to take the opportunity to recognize in our limited gallery inside the Special Envoy, Her Excellency Rosanna Briceño. We also have with us the UNICEF representative, the Ambassador Alison Parker, CEO, the Ministry of Human Development, Adele Katsim. And we also have the chair of NCFC, along with her assistant, acting executive assistant, Ms. Sutherland. But we also have two very special guests in the gallery, and those are the two of the cohorts from the, I believe it was in 2023, when they presented their debate in the National Children's Parliament on the amendment of the Marriage Act. And so they're here today, along with other about 40 children, I have been made to understand, who are outside members under the tent witnessing today's proceeding, and it's to witness the debate when that bill comes up. For purposes of just to organize the guests' thoughts, if you will, on timing, we are only at the introduction of bills. There are a few of these, then there'll be the motions, then we break shortly. After that, we come back to presentation to the committee, and then we get into the second reading. And we vary the order of the day to allow that bill to be the first, just in the interest of the time of the young children outside. I also take the opportunity to mention that it is the first time, members, that we're using an outside gallery. So we will get feedback to see how that works. You may recall we had mentioned from time to time, we will try and test that. I recognize the Prime Minister.
And they're doing some beautiful posters. I saw them downstairs when I came in. Madam Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 12.8, I move that the proceedings on the order paper may be entered upon and proceeded with at this day's sitting at any hour though opposed.
Honourable members, the question is that the proceedings on the order paper may be entered upon and proceeded with at this day's sitting at any hour though opposed. All those in favour kindly say aye. Aye. Those against kindly say no. I think the ayes have it. I recognize the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Finance.
I rise to introduce a bill for an act to amend the Social Security Act, Chapter 44 of the Substantive Laws of Belize, Revised Edition 2020, and to allow for the retroactive appointment of a general manager of the National Health Insurance Scheme and a chair for the National Health Insurance Committee, and to provide for matters connected there within or incidental thereto. Madam Speaker, as way of explanation, the National Health Insurance NHI scheme was introduced under the Act under Act number 31 of 2001 and made provisions for the appointment of a manager. In 2007, an amendment to the Act provided for the substitution of the word Chief Executive Officer for the word manager throughout the Act. While the amendment changed the title from manager of the scheme to Chief